Welcome to Impact Signals, social impact at the scale of AI. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sarah.
It's Sunday, March 1st, 2026, and this is episode 17. Today, we're tracking a $30 million funding window just opened for AI and government, a live flood forecasting deployment in Indonesia, and a new blockchain platform designed to put aid money exactly where it's supposed to go. Let's start with the funding news. Google.org opened applications this weekend for a $30 million impact challenge, and this one is directly aimed at the humanitarian space. They're calling it AI for Government Innovation, and the two explicit focus areas are resilience, meaning AI that helps communities respond to and recover from crises, and public health emergency systems.
And the dollar amounts are real money. Grants between $1 and $3 million, plus access to Google's technical accelerator with direct engineering support. This is for nonprofits, social enterprises, and academic institutions that are already partnering with governments. If you're building AI tools for disaster preparedness or climate adaptation, this application has your name on it.
What's the timeline on this?
Applications are open now. The key thing is, this isn't a vague commitment to explore AI. They want proof of concept work that scales with government partners. Practitioners who've already done pilots with local emergency management agencies or public health ministries are exactly who this fund is for.
That's a strong signal from Google.org on where humanitarian AI investment is headed in 2026. Moving to our second story, and this one is from Southeast Asia, which is where a lot of the most consequential deployments are happening right now. Japan's Weathernews announced today they formally integrated Google's AI flood forecasting and tropical cyclone prediction models into Indonesia's National Meteorological Agency, that's BMKG.
This is a live deployment, Charlie, not a pilot. Indonesia is one of the most disaster-exposed countries on the planet. Floods, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, cyclones, the country sees all of it. What this partnership does is combine Weathernews' proprietary high-resolution meteorological data with Google's machine learning flood models to produce earlier and more precise alerts for riverine flooding and storm tracks.
And this matters because early warning is everything in a country with that geography.
Exactly. Indonesia is an archipelago of 17,000 islands. The window between a cyclone warning and landfall can be very short. Getting better AI-enhanced predictions directly into the national forecasting infrastructure, not just accessible to tech teams, but operationalized inside BMKG systems, is the kind of deployment that changes how communities in flood-prone regions actually get warned. It's also a model other national meteorological agencies in Southeast Asia should be watching closely.
Indonesia isn't the only Southeast Asian story today. Vietnam's comprehensive law on artificial intelligence officially entered into force as of today, March 1st. This is a landmark, Southeast Asia's first complete AI regulatory framework.
And it has direct operational implications for anyone deploying AI in Vietnam. The law establishes a risk-based classification system, similar to the EU AI Act. Anything classified as high risk, which could include AI-powered needs assessments, biometric data tools, or medical diagnostic systems, now requires a conformity assessment before deployment. AI-generated content, images and video, has to be labeled. There are also strict human-centric requirements for AI systems that serve people.
So for NGOs and humanitarian organizations running AI programs in Vietnam,
audit time. If your organization has AI tools deployed in Vietnam, or you're building products for the broader Southeast Asian market, you need to assess where those tools fall in the risk classification. The law is not theoretical. It's in force today. Vietnam also has significant international NGO presence, particularly in disaster risk reduction and public health. This affects a lot of practitioners in the field.
good context. Now let's talk about cash, because this next story is about one of the most critical and underappreciated problems in humanitarian response: getting money to people who need it, verifying it was spent correctly, and doing it fast. Income Payments and a blockchain payment startup called SKX announced a partnership 2 days ago that directly addresses this.
Cash programming is consistently one of the most effective humanitarian interventions we have. Multiple studies put it above in-kind transfers for most crisis contexts. But two persistent problems hold it back: fraud and the inability to verify that aid funds went toward what they were intended for. This platform combines Incom's retail payment network with SKX's blockchain rails and what they call item-level controls.
What does item-level control actually mean in practice?
It means an aid organization can issue a digital voucher that is cryptographically restricted to specific categories of goods: food, medicine, water purification supplies. The beneficiary can redeem at participating retailers, but the funds can't be spent on anything outside the approved categories. And the blockchain ledger creates an immutable audit trail, proof of how every dollar was spent. That's something donor agencies have wanted for years.
And the timing here is significant. As federal emergency management roles have continued to shift towards states and cities, there's a growing gap in the infrastructure for digital aid distribution. This platform is explicitly positioned to fill that gap.
Both companies are members of Payments as a Lifeline, which is a nonprofit specifically focused on financial resilience during disasters. They're presenting a joint keynote at Disasters Expo USA in Miami this week, March 4th and 5th, at the Miami Beach Convention Center. If you're going to be there, that keynote is worth attending.
Speaking of infrastructure, there's a notable capability announcement this weekend that has implications for how the next generation of disaster relief coordination might work. OpenAI and a major cloud infrastructure provider announced a significant expansion of their partnership, rolling out a new platform designed to deploy coordinated teams of AI agents.
The key technical piece here is something called a stateful runtime environment. Current AI tools are largely session-based. You interact, get an answer, the session ends. This architecture allows AI agents to maintain context and memory across continuous multi-day operations. They can integrate across data sources, track workflows over time, and operate autonomously without constant human reprompting.
Why does that matter specifically for disaster response?
Think about what a multi-week disaster response actually looks like operationally. You have supply chains with dozens of vendors, field teams in different locations, real-time NAIDS data coming in from assessment teams, and coordination with government agencies. Today, managing all of that requires constant human attention to maintain situational awareness. A persistent, stateful, agentic system could theoretically track all of that simultaneously, alerting coordinators when supply chains are at risk, flagging discrepancies, and synthesizing incoming data without someone manually stitching it together every hour. That's not deployed in a humanitarian context yet, but the infrastructure to build it just got significantly better.
Practitioners should track this as early-stage infrastructure capability, not a ready-to-deploy humanitarian tool, but the trajectory matters. Our sixth story is a research finding that every crisis communication team in the humanitarian sector should put on their wall. Riscom's released their 2026 Global Crisis and Emergency Communications Trends Report this week, 102 senior professionals surveyed across 32 countries.
The headline number is stark. 37% of respondents rate AI-generated deepfakes as a high or critical risk to their operations, but 77%, 3 in 4, have no documented protocol for how to handle a synthetic media incident, and 36% have no plans to create one.
Let's be concrete about what that risk looks like in a disaster context.
A fabricated video of a government official declaring a false evacuation order. Deepfake audio of a humanitarian coordinator saying aid has run out. Synthetic footage purporting to show a disaster zone that's either worse than it is, triggering panic, or better, reducing the urgency of response. Any of those could compound harm in an act of emergency. And right now, 3 in 4 crisis communications teams have no playbook for dealing with it.
The report recommends 3 specific actions. Build a deepfake playbook with verification steps and pre-approved response statements, stand up monitoring infrastructure with media forensics built in, and establish clear decision rights. Who declares an incident, who speaks externally, and who updates stakeholders within the first hour.
The capability gaps are also telling. AI and technology literacy, data analytics, and disinformation forensics are the top 3 areas where teams are under-resourced. The communicator most needed in 2026 is part strategist, part technologist, part analyst, and part diplomat. But the alternative, being caught flat-footed when a deepfake circulates during an active disaster, is worse than the investment to prepare.
Our final story comes from Mobile World Congress in Barcelona this weekend. Samsung unveiled an AI agent-based network operations suite that can autonomously detect, diagnose, and repair network failures, and they showcased what they're calling Network in a Server, edge AI infrastructure that provides connectivity and compute in a single package, no central infrastructure required.
In a disaster zone where cell towers are down and internet backbones are cut, that kind of resilient, self-healing edge network could maintain communications for field teams and early warning systems when it matters most. This is enterprise technology built for commercial network operators, but the infrastructure humanitarian connectivity projects run on almost always comes from exactly these kinds of enterprise deployments. Teams building field communication solutions should be watching this.
Let's close with the calendar. The Humanitarian Networks and Partnerships Weeks, HNPW, starts tomorrow, March 2nd, with a remote week through the 6th, then in-person in Geneva from the 10th through the 12th. There are specific sessions on AI and digital divides. Check reliefweb.int for session links.
Disasters Expo USA is March 4th and 5th in Miami. The blockchain aid payments keynote from Incom and SKX is worth attending. Also this month, EAI raids on responsible AI in Da Nang, Vietnam on March 10th through 12th. Well-timed given Vietnam's new AI law. NVIDIA GTC in San Jose runs March 16th through 19th, with an AI for Good track and Earth Science sessions directly relevant for disaster practitioners. And a heads up, the Mila Youth Mental Health AI Hackathon has a registration deadline of March 8th.
For researchers and mapping practitioners, the ITU AI for Good webinar series includes a deep dive on TerraTorch, a geospatial AI library, on March 19th. Free and directly applicable if you're doing satellite imagery work for disaster response. Link in the show notes. That's Impact Signals for Sunday, March 1st, 2026. If this briefing is useful, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at impactsignals.ai and share it with someone working in the field.
Stay ready.